we have this report from our good friend Albert Breer. You may have heard of him. They are looking to add more help to the coaching staff. And Bert, you reported yesterday that the Patriots are in talks to add ex-Giants head coach Ben McAdoo to the offensive staff, saying he's likely to play an assistant head coach type of role and help Alex Van Pelt, new offensive coordinator, on that side of the ball. Is this a done deal? Are the Patriots going to be welcoming Ben McAdoo to their staff in the near future here, do you think?
They're working on it, and I think this makes sense to me. Look, I personally made fun of him for the suit and the slick back hair and all that stuff. So
you and the rest of America, Bert. Don't feel bad about that.
I get why. Like, this is one where people are kind of like, I don't know. But, I mean, if you look at the track record, he was, in Green Bay, he was respected enough to get the shot to call plays with the Giants. He did a good enough job with Eli Manning calling plays with the Giants to become the head coach there. And then even after that, he goes to Dallas and reestablishes his name, and then he winds up calling plays in Carolina. So this is a guy who's, got a lot of experience, has worked in good systems, worked under Tom Coughlin, worked under Mike McCarthy, worked with Eli Manning, worked with Aaron Rodgers. He's just seen a lot of things, and I think giving Alex Van Pelt another voice in the room, somebody he's familiar with, somebody who speaks the same language as him, and somebody who can help him build what he's going to build here makes all the sense in the world.
Well, and you look at this too, I think the Patriots, they would even acknowledge that they could use all the help they can get, all the brain power they can get on the offensive side of the ball. So even if you don't love Ben McAdoo's history as a head coach, he has worked with a lot of different offenses and had some success. He's a respected guy, and they just need more brain power in there, right, Bert?
And here's the other part of it too. Like, yes, that's true. I think the other part, and look, like I was the number one guy to say, like, if you hire Zach Robinson, that's a big win, and if you lose him in a year or two, that's a champagne problem, because that means you did really well. You probably got the quarterback right. You probably fixed a lot of things. These guys, the benefit is you probably won't lose them. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be knocking down the door to get Alex Van Pelt as a head coach. I don't think anybody's going to be knocking down the door to give Ben McAdoo a second shot at being a head coach. So to me, like, this is something where you could look at it and say, this could be the setup for the next 3 or 4 years. It's realistic to think that way, which again is like one of the issues with hiring a defensive head coach, right? Is that if you have some success on offense, if your quarterback plays well, that you probably will be replacing your offensive coordinator in short order. So it's
on the one hand,
it's weird because you want somebody who's played enough to become a head coach. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it feels weird saying that, but it could be a benefit that these guys are a little older, so they may not be going in.
I get what you're saying. And if you have a young quarterback,
it's like with Vic Fangio. It's like when you hire Vic Fangio, he's probably not going to be a head coach again.
An update on the Patriots front office from Jeff Howe. This is in The Athletic. Head coach Gerard Mayo began reaching out to candidates shortly after he was hired. Howe says, it seems likely a new voice will be added to the personnel department, but that role or title is still anyone's guess. In-house candidates Eliot Wolf and Matt Groh have also been under consideration. If it's Wolf running the show, expect the Patriots to give a long, hard look at drafting a left tackle with the number 3 overall pick. Oh boy, Albert Breer from the MMQB.com and Sports Illustrated is with us here now. We'll get to the number 3 pick in a minute, but we have some Reese excerpts we have to get to here as well. He wrote today on ESPN.com, while a strong contingent of the Patriots personnel staff was on the road last week, the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl, Director of Scouting Eliot Wolf remained at Gillette Stadium. Sources said he was directly involved in the interview process with first-year head coach Gerard Mayo, which seems to indicate how Wolf's responsibilities are evolving into more of those normally associated with a general manager. That was foreshadowed after Bill Belichick's departure. Okay, now we're going to bring in Albert Breer, and we're going to ask you, Bert, is this Eliot Wolf's job? Is he essentially the general manager for the New England Patriots right now, even though he doesn't have the title? I
mean, I can tell you, like, on the day Gerard Mayo was hired, they introduced him. He and Matt Groh sat down together with Robert Kraft. I also know that Eliot met with the Krafts a couple times near the end of the season. So it certainly feels like if he's not one, then he and Matt Groh are 1A and 1B in whatever order you want to put them. So his influence is very clear. He's got ties to the 2 offensive coaches they brought in, of course. He was in Green Bay with both Alex Van Pelt and Ben McAdoo. And so it certainly seems like his influence is strengthened, I would say, over the course of the last few months.
Yeah, what I had heard was that the Krafts had a chance to really get to know Eliot Wolf, especially over the course of last year. But he's been here for a few years now. He is very highly regarded around the NFL. He is considered a GM caliber personnel person. He has that kind of resume, really worked his way up through the ranks.
He's been number 2 in 2
Green
places.
Bay, Cleveland as well, right? And so he has the resume to be that guy, and yet we continue to hear rumblings, oh, maybe they'll hire someone. Even Robert Kraft, at Jerome Mayo's introductory press conference, Bert says, we will appoint someone when the time comes to start making decisions on the roster. It feels as though decisions on the football team are being made right now, whether it's the roster or the coaching staff. They are important decisions, and it feels as though Eliot Wolf has a heavy hand in how some of those decisions are being made.
Well, you have to have somebody do that, right? And so, my understanding of the way this was going to work was that they were going to slowly talk to people over the course of a couple months, maybe not weeks, a couple months. And maybe this leads up to the draft. Now, part of the issue there is a window where you're allowed to talk to front office people. And I believe that window closes somewhere around the beginning of March. And so, you can't drag the thing on forever, but you're going to get to a point here when you get past the combine where it's logistically you just don't want to bring in somebody until after the draft, right. So my guess would be they continue to look at different ideas and different models and talk to different people, and then the further we get along here in the calendar, I think the more likely it is that they would wait until after the draft. But I know this. I don't know exactly what their plan is. Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft need to add people. They are short-staffed on the scouting side. They are short-staffed on the coaching side. They've had small staffs by design over the years with Bill Belichick in charge. It's because Bill Belichick wore about a dozen different hats. And I'm just saying, there's a numbers problem on both the coaching staff that showed up last year and the scouting staff. Analytics, clearly there's a numbers issue. And so I think there needs to be a larger redesign of the personnel department that's going to have to happen. And the question is whether or not Eliot Wolf is at the top of that. But I don't think that there should be any debate at all that more people need to be added, whether they're over the top of Eliot Wolf or just around.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they end up doing there. Do you bring in somebody like Dave Ziegler, who is available, former GM of the Raiders, obviously, was fired in the middle of last season,
still has
a history
locally
here, has a relationship with the Crafts, which I think matters, has a really good relationship, it's my understanding, with Eliot Wolf.